In this new series, we're going to take a look at how at learning C++ in the with the goal of making games with it. So this is kind of a series that I want to do in parallel of the Unreal series, so that if you didn't know C++ coming into the Unreal series, you can kind of catch up here. So we're going to start with an empty project in C++ and kind of build the knowledge necessary for you to be able to understand what's going on in Unreal and be able to make your games in Unreal Engine. Let's get started. So first thing, we're gonna go to this to the visualstudio.microsoft.com to download Visual Studio Community. So you're gonna hit that download button. I already have it downloaded, so I'm not gonna download it again. Just go through the install, and then we'll be ready to start learning C++. Once it's installed, launch it, and then you should get something like this, which is going to ask you to, what are you going to do, open a project or create a new one? For us, it's going to be create a new project. Also, I didn't mention it, but you can also use Visual Studio Code. There's no problem with that. You're only going to have to install a couple of the C++ extension, and then I'm going to let you figure out some part of it because I'm not used to the editor for work. For where I usually use a Visual Studio or Writer. So, right, when we are in the create new project, we're going to want to do an empty project right here. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do next. Now we can give it a name, and I'm going to call it Hello. Yeah, I'm going to call it Hello World, because that's mostly what we're going to do. The other options are fine. They're more preferences for me. So I'm going to go with that. And then we have the project that opens up. Right now, there's no file, but we're going to have, we're going to add our first file right now. One thing to know is that every C++ program, for a matter of fact, even a website, even everything that is executable has a single entry point, meaning like there's a start to the program. There's something that is expected to be there so that the program launch. In C++, that is usually the main function. So, but even in C++, it's configurable. So if you go into setting here in linker and in advanced, you're going to see entry point. And it states the entry point, and the entry option specify an entry point function as the starting address for an executable file or DLL. So for us, we're going to have to first define that function. So right now we have absolutely no file in our project because we started with the empty project. So we're going to go in our source file. We're going to right click, add. We're going to add a new item. It's going to be a CPP file, and we're going to name it main. You can name it anything you want. It's just a convention. Anyway, the compiler is going to find that main function whenever he needs it, or the linker is going to find the function. So we're going to do main.cpp, and then we do add. And in here, we have our first CPP file. So the most basic signature for main function is it returns an int. It's called main. And then you have the bracket, and you have this. And then at the end, it's not an obligation because the main function has a special, you don't have to do a return necessarily, but we usually put it return 0. And then we can click here to compile, and we're going to have that little window saying that it compiled and everything worked. And we can press any key here to close the window. And here we go. We have defined our main function, which is the entry point of our program. And then we're going to be able to add some code in that function. Now, here we're going to add some code. What I would like to do at first is just print the classic hello world. So the syntax in C++ is a little bit different. So what we're going to do here is we're going to need to include something, because the function to actually output something to the console is in the library. So what we need to do is include IO for input output stream. Stream like this. Now that we have imported this, what we can do here is we can do our hello world. So iostream is part of something called the standard library. So the standard library comes with C++, with the C++ language, and you can do cout like this. You put chevrons like this, and the less operator, I think, yeah, less operator, and then you put whatever string you want to go into cout. So this is a special operator that lets you pass to cout, which is the console output, a string. So we're gonna say hello world. And there you go, semicolon, and then we can save and hit play. And then the window is gonna pop up again, and you're gonna have your hello world. So this is the basic of outputting. This is a basic hello world in C++. Next, I'm gonna do a little bit of a simplification. So here, std is a namespace. So we can specify to C++ that we're using a namespace. If you read online, there's a lot of opinion about this. I think, like, generally it's not the best practice because namespace help you. If cout exists in another library that you're using, then it helps you specify from which namespace it goes. But for the standard library, for me at least, in learning, it's safer. It's not safer, but it's easier to read when you use it. So we're gonna do using namespace std, and then what that allows us to do is we can remove this, and then we can run, and it's going to give us the same program, no error there. So using namespace std when you're learning, it's pretty useful because at least it makes reading a little bit easier. When we output to the console, it is pretty simple, meaning like it doesn't do automatic return to line. So if I was to do this, copy paste this and run it, you're gonna see that I actually have it all back to back. So we need to say to the console output, okay, output end of line character. So the way we usually do this is we're gonna say to cout output hello world, and then here we're gonna say after that output and end line. So endline is part of the std, so you could write this, but since we're doing the namespace here, we can do that. So if I run this here, I'm gonna have then hello world on 2 line. Okay, so this is one that is important. Another one that we're gonna see next is gonna be cin. The cin operator allows us to read input from the console. So cout is for console out, and cin is for console in. So this is, we put a string and we output it in cout. For cin, we say cin and output it to string. So now what we need to do is have a variable. So we're going to go ahead and say string input. String is part of std, but usually we try to include headers the more specifically, because if at some point I remove iostream, it's going to remove the string, but I may want to remove this but keep string. So there's an include here, string, that specified that I want to use string. So let's comment this out first so that it doesn't, that way if I remove this, I don't have cout, I don't have endline, but I still have my string. So if I refactor and then I want to change the way I output things, I don't want to use cout anymore, I want to keep that string around because I still want to output a string. So okay, so we'll kind of go over whenever we talk about the compiler and the linker, why is it that if I remove string, it's still there. But the gist of it is that when I include iostream include strings himself. So that's why I don't have to specify it, because iostream already imports string, but we want to be specific. Okay, so now I have this, I have my string. So I can say here cin into into input. Whoa, input. There we go. And then we can say here, we're going to do cout. We're going to go with the end line. And you know what? We're going to put 2 end line. And we're going to say user inputted space, and then we're gonna say input. Since it's a string, we're able to pass it to the cout. Okay, so let's go and run this. So it says hello world, and you see there I didn't put a return of line after the hello world, so my input is gonna go there. So I'm gonna go here. C++ is so fun. And then user inputted C++, and then there's nothing. So why did it cut? So one of the things that is specific to the cn operator is that it's gonna read the characters until it either gets a space or enter. So let me show you here. If I had done it in a one line, C++ is so fun, then I would have C++ is so fun, but it doesn't read after a space or after a return of line. So for this, we're going to see another function, which is Getline. For the Getline, we're going to remove this because now we want to use the Getline. Let me also put that in line here, and we're going to do this. So Getline. It asks for, at first, basic iostream. So it's from which input stream it should read. So for us, we're going to keep cin. And we're going to say here in which string it should store the result. So it's input. So this is the basic usage. There's a third parameter that you may or may not use, which is the character that it used to detect the end of what it should read. So by default, it's a return line. So it's going to read until it finds a return line. But you could change that character to put something else, and we're gonna take a look at it. So right now, we're gonna say this, and then we're gonna run it. So I'm here, and I say C++ is so fun. So with cn, the spaces were a blocking factor, and now we do this, and we have we have the C++ is so fun. Now, if you pass in the third parameter, which is we don't see it very well, but it's delimiter, it's gonna be like this. And then if I put C++ is, and then I put that delimiter, so fun, I get everything before the delimiter. Now, we're just going to go ahead and do a little bit of a fun little wrap up with everything we learned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrap this, and we're going to start from scratch. So I'm going to go cout, because I want to output kind of text, and when the user press enter, I continue with some other text. So welcome to the detective agency. Okay, and there we go. We're gonna do sorry about that, end line, and then we're gonna give the user choice, which we're not gonna really see what it is right now, but we're not gonna see how to act upon the choice that the player make, but we're gonna put something here. Please choose the case you want to work on. Here we go, another end line, and this time I'm gonna do 2 end line. And then we're going to go again. And we're going to, usually in console, you either do like a 1 like this or a like this, and the person actually enters the letters. The missing crystal vase. Let's go with that. And line, another one, B, murder in the train, murder at the train station. Let's go, station. And then in line, and I encourage you to actually come up with your own scenario. Like I'm doing this just for the video, but you can literally come up with your concept. So And let's go with what can be a great thing. So we have murder, stealing, and someone's missing. Where is Mrs. John? Let's go. Where's Mrs. John? End line. And there we go. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to do a couple of more end line here. So end line and another one here. Yeah, let me remove this character, which just doesn't belong here. And then we're going to say cout. Type the letter of the case you want to work on. And there we go. So the person is going to enter the letter. So we're going to store this. So we're going to string case choice. And we're going to do, we're just going to use cin because the person isn't supposed to put any space anyway. So let's go with case choice. And then we're just going to output whatever the person has entered. So we're going to go end line, and then say, you did great choice, space. And then we're going to say case choice, like something like be it is. So be it is. Oh. And there we go. So let's look. There's always a little formatting thing that you forget when you work only in console. So here it is. Welcome to the detective agency. Please choose the case you want to work on. So I'm going to go with B. Oops, B. And then I'm going to go enter. Great choice. B it is. All right. So that's working. Now, now that we have this, we're going to use that in the next couple videos to kind of iterate on this and make it in a more complete game that you can expand on, but still learn C++ and make games until we transition to Unreal Engine. But before we continue, I'm just going to go through some little mistake that can happen that beginners can make that I want you to be aware of so that if you get that error, you know how to fix it. So one thing I want to show you first here is this. So this is something like that you, if you've already done C++, you might be aware of it. There's two ways to include. You can include with those double quotes, or you can include in this way. And they're not doing the exact same thing. So this is kind of an optimization for everything that belongs to predefined C++ includes. So when we try to include iostream, we know that iostream comes from the C++ language. So by doing this, actually, it's not going to go search into our code for that include. It's going to know that it needs to go straight to the C++ for it. So since this is from C++, we can put this. And this same thing for string here, but when you import something that is custom code you made, so when we're going to make other file and we're going to want to import them, we're going to use the double quotes. Okay, so that's the first one. For the other errors, I would just want to show you like what happens if like you, let's say you forget to include that string. When you're gonna run, you're gonna, oh no, yeah, because string is bad examples because it's also defined in iostream. So let's do it with this one. So if you do this, and for some reason you didn't see this because it was like, because there's little like squiggly line, but let's say you didn't see this error because it's in like another file or something, and then you build. You're gonna get an error that starts with an C. So when you get an error, usually you can go to the error list, but I usually prefer to look at the raw output. So here you're gonna see the files, errors, and C is for compiling error. So compiling error means that while parsing the code and looking for syntax and looking for the symbols that it knows without linking them, it found an error. So it's saying here, undeclare identifier and it's cout. So it means that he doesn't know what cout is. When you get this type of error, undeclared identifier, it means that you don't have the right includes. Okay, so this is an easy fix. You just go ahead and fix this. If you're lacking something like that, it's the same thing. It's a syntax error, so the compiler is going to throw the error, and it's going to be pretty explicit. Like you're going to see it's missing before identifier cout. The thing with C++ is it's going to give you the line after. So it's going to say there's a problem here, and it's going to say syntax missing before. So you kind of have to go back to the line before and say, oh yeah, you're right, it's missing this. You can have like plenty of error. The compiler can throw any syntax error, okay? And some of them can be like pretty cryptic, because sometimes when he analyzes the code, he tries to kind of guess what you were trying to do to give you the best error. But here you see it says, and this is one you're going to get you're going to get a lot. So it's still a compiling error. It says, okay, it's a syntax error. It's missing before identifier end line. So what it's saying is, oh, you should put return the semicolon here. But we know that it's not what we're actually trying to do. So be really mindful of this. The compiler is trying his best to give you the most precise error, but C++ is just like that. Sometimes the compiler doesn't really know what you're trying to do. And then, yeah, it even gets you like another warning, function call missing argument list. And I'm thinking it's because of this, like it's because this is actually an operator, which is a function. So I'm guessing he's saying that because like it was supposed to have one and it had two arguments. I think, as I said, like error in C++ can be pretty cryptic. So you just go ahead and try to do your best to reread your code and see what the error is. So yeah, I think this is mostly the type of error you're gonna face into this video. So I hope it helps you. And we're gonna continue to iterate on that, and we're gonna see plenty more errors in upcoming videos. And there it is for our first introductory video for C++. So I hope you liked it. We went over things that are pretty basic, but they're going to be building blocks for us to build more advanced code. This is really this is the easiest, like the most like C++ basic video I'm going to do. After that, we're going to ramp up pretty quickly. We're going to go into control flow, loops, data type, and probably straight into like object oriented, so that we can at some point transition into Unreal Engine and continue learning about C++, but inside Unreal Engine. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.